The power of the King of Armenia had been shattered across the world, but in Armenia itself, it was stronger than any law, any bond, any oath. Thousands of men took a deathly pledge to carve out a trail of destruction across the world in order to support the Chosen King's cult of Pandora, never to return home again. These monstrous armies killed hundreds of thousands of people and sent entire cities fleeing before them. They were too successful, even for the Chosen King's plan, which required his followers to die before the royal treasury was expended. And so they marched ever onward, death seekers of the broadest kind. The temple's bones are rattling. That can only mean one thing, but I had everyone who knew the Magi secrets killed. I am the master of magic now, and me alone. Who is disturbing the world line now? The bones know the truth. The bones whisper of deception. Those rumours of mages in the north, invisible, untouchable, yet rumoured without end. Something is afoot. Yet, whatever they're doing, they could never hope to match the power of the Temple of Bones. Yes, from inside this chamber, I am channeling the energies of 1,000,000 souls. I can know anything, do anything, be anything. My only regret is that we cannot seal this sacred place off from the surface world entirely. Then I could care not for this constant talk of money. Mortals, and greedy mortals at that. Insufferable. How long must I wait for Pandora to deliver us from this? So many spines, yet never enough. Hello there, welcome back to Wings of Eden. So while our trail of destruction did continue with mixed success, we have finally found a real threat emerging back at home. Not only do we have this tiny invasion coming in at last, but we've actually got a rebellion going on, and funnily enough, it's led by what appears to be another Manua Kapi clone named Arsiuka, which happens to also be the name of the current incarnation of Naram Suan's spirit character and all the other souls, the other guy basically. So what I'm going to do is get said guy, this guy here, to come and face off against his own clone. They do have a slightly different portrait, but it's just the same guy wearing a scarf or something. So I'm not sure what's going on there. I think the world lines might be colliding again. We'll see how their face-off eventually goes. Meanwhile, we've got armies to lose and enemies to kill, and it doesn't really matter which one happens. Here we've got a delightful loss, trying to battle against a few of the Nabataeans down there, losing a load of men. You can see the monetary situation is getting worse and worse, so we really do need to lose most of our armies in the field in order to preserve the Armenian state a bit more. I've got this army way out in the western Mediterranean that was just sailing around doing nothing in particular. Managed to finally get them killed fighting enemy fleets, and with a couple of units surviving that last fight, I decided, well, let's just disband them. This, of course, is an option at all times. I just wanted to go down killing as many people as possible in order to please Pandora. So we'll have a few survivors, especially officers if they happen to survive right to the very end, because we might get to use them again. Many of them are high rank after all their rampaging. Out there, got an annoying win in an auto-resolve, so that army will have to keep fighting. The Medes made a brief comeback. They've got some armies from somewhere that tried to challenge some of my forces in Mesopotamia. We did manage to lose some units against them, but we haven't lost our army, so we'll have to try a bit harder. Here's a nice auto-resolve against some Arabian forces that came up into Mesopotamia, and we managed to lose one of our armies that way. And the other arm in the area will go after the Medes again, very tragically winning this battle. Not what we need to see right now, but all spines are equal in the eyes of Pandora, I suppose. So as long as someone's dying, it's all good. We finally managed to lose my force up in the northwest of the Black Sea when some barbarians show up to take them out. That's what we like to see. The entire army is killed in a super one-sided water resolve. Once that was done, we got news that our rebellion, the rebellious faction, the Armenian nobles, has expanded a little bit. We're apparently officially in a state of civil war now, not quite sure why. I'm guessing this is a statesman or something who had low loyalty and has joined the Armenian nobles, and he's raised a small army near the capital. We could wipe them out right away if we want to, but I'm going to give them a chance. We're going to say that Ashurnazir-Pal is distracted, sitting in his cave underneath the capital and just hasn't noticed such things going on, so we'll leave them to it and see what happens. We do still have a big problem with money though, so we really need to lose some men, and it's gotten to the point where we need to lose our defending troops as well, and for that, the quickest way is going to be to just disband them, so I'm going to start lightening our defences, which will also have the advantage of potentially making the enemy more willing to bother attacking us, which is what I wanted at this stage in the campaign. We'll make it easier for them and see if they go for it. The nobles gain themselves some territory as the random colony I built up where the Sarmatian rebels were apparently hanging out has gone over to them. There are some good omens though in the capital, so spirits are still high among the loyal Armenian people. So yes, the nobles now have a capital and some territory. Not sure it's very valuable though, they probably won't be able to use it for anything, but their faction has increased in legitimacy. This Bactrian army that's half dead is trying to invade Armenia right now. I could see that their army's so damaged, just the garrison of the city will be enough to battle them, so I'm going to have the nearby army run away in order to tempt the AI again into making an attack. We'll see if we make it a bit easier for them, whether they actually do it. And they do go for it, as it turns out, although the balance bar is super far in our favour, just because the enemy army is so damaged. It looks like they've been taking attrition for a really long time, so I guess the Bactrians just don't have any food out there, and this is some sort of last-ditch attempt to capture some of the still fertile lands. Going to be difficult for them, however, because it was the much-vaunted siege defence battle that I've been going for, I decided to fight this one anyway. Will you not have mercy on us, friends? You must have heard of the wars in the east. Why would such news trouble me? Because this is all your doing. Your army stripped the land of its bounty and died in their hubris. Now we must live in the world left behind by their malice. Everybody out there is dying, and it's your fault. Do you not feel ashamed to shut your gates before us? You come under arms, and without the blessings of the High Lady. Both are reasons enough to close the gates to Eden. If I let you through, how many more wretched things out there will crawl through my fields, on my roads, and insult the purity of the land gifted to the Armenian people? Our arms are only to guard us from the desperation of the people. We will throw them down and shed tears of joy if you will only open the gates. Or even if you bring out food, we will encamp as far from the city as you wish, but please, my people are dying. All things die. If you wish to put an end to that fact, then you had best leave us alone. What are you talking about? You can never understand our purpose. Archers, prepare the pitch arrows. Shoot anyone who comes close to the gate. I suggest you flee before they are ready, General. The enemy had 2 siege towers, but only one makes it to the wall thanks to our fire arrows. I was a bit worried now because the wall is covered in weak units, so if they attack with even a small number of powerful units we could be in trouble. As it happens though, they're attacking with a pike phalanx, which will just have no ability to fight once it's on the wall, so that's perfect. Plus, the siege tower is gradually still taking fire damage as it stands there. You can't actually target docked siege towers, but sometimes arrows hit it accidentally, so it will still take damage over time. We're losing a decent number of men, just to the fact the enemy are throwing javelins and shooting arrows onto the wall, and our men are so tightly packed up there. But ultimately that won't matter. The siege tower is set ablaze, and soon it will collapse even before all of the first unit is through. The thing is, now the AI will just want to break through the gate, so I immediately direct some troops to start guarding the gate. That pike phalanx will eventually rout up there because it's so surrounded and just generally in trouble. And there we go, they're going for the gate right away. Our towers keep shooting them while they're fighting the gate, so they'll take losses doing that. The siege tower goes down. I can't remember if siege towers actually kill their occupants when they collapse. It might be like ladders, where it just doesn't for some reason, but it doesn't really matter. That avenue for getting into the city goes away. The units attacking the gate rout, and then as if to mock them, the gate is immediately opened as they run away, perhaps to show off to the enemy that we do have some men there guarding the entrance. So they run away. They've still got more units who are going to come in to attack the gate, and they even have roughly equal strength to us on the balance bar, or at least they did, until their units coming towards us just all routed under arrow fire. Everything went away. And there we go, we take the win. A heroic victory. It was just about as easy as I expected, although the balance bar in the battle was in their favour at the very beginning, the old difference between campaign map and battle map. Interestingly, we actually lost pretty much the same number of troops as the enemy did in that fight. It's just that the enemy were already on the verge of death, so losing a few men in each unit caused the entire unit to disappear after the battle, and now their army is pretty much negligible in strength. With that all sorted, another siege defence appears to be on the way. Just need to hack through the pointless politics, and you can see here that the rebellion under the clone of Arsiuka is now at full strength and is besieging the real Arsiuka inside the city. We're starting to take attrition because there's no food in there, but I am going to allow the attrition to just continue rather than sallying to fight a field battle, because again I want to see a siege defence. We'll give the enemy plenty of time to make siege equipment and then face a full strength army, this time with their own army weakened by those losses. So that's something to look forward to. In the meantime, there is actually a regular invasion on the cards. There's a small barbarian army in the northwest of Armenia. I don't remember if this was intentional on my part, but I moved a small force with a few trash troops towards it, and indeed that barbarian army then came over to attack me. However, this force is also damaged, because I think as it came in it tried to fight with Trapezoros and lost, so a lot of their troops are already dead by this point, but that does mean it's something of a balanced fight against my army of trash spears and archers. They only have a small numerical advantage, so this will be another of the challenge battles that I was looking for, and I'll go down and give it a go.
Warning, unauthorized persons are approaching. It is required by law that they or that anyone who can potentially intervene, also dies. Therefore, I will now lead you to engage this unauthorized party and begin the dying process. When dying, please be aware of the military regulations regarding proper death arrangements. In particular, take care to ensure that your body is not cut into anywhere along the torso, as this may damage bones vital to the war effort. These bones will be recovered by trained professionals at a later date. Loss of limbs or your head is permitted. Where possible, please have your bodies fall in straight rows, with your arms by your sides and feet together. This will ensure quick processing and ensure that your soul can join the chosen king as soon as possible. Please be aware that the punishment for breaking these regulations is death.
I rushed forwards in order to take up a position on a nice forested hill, although I only just arrived as the enemy did, so our men are going to be a bit tired. For whatever reason, I decided to charge out with my general. I guess I wanted to get these horse archers out of the way, but as the horse archers skirmished back, I just kept going and ended up going for this nice juicy target here. All of these enemy infantry are falksmen, so they're charging infantry who are weak themselves against charges and regular melees, meaning just rushing them with calves, a nice tactic, and we immediately take out one unit. However, the enemy also have a unit of cataphracts that now rear attacks my cataphracts, and now my general is stuck out in the middle of the enemy army, so that's a particularly bad situation. On the front line, things are going a bit better than I expected. I thought the falksmen might just tear through our trash spears, but no, the spears stop them and then engage in a somewhat favourable melee. Now for my cataphracts, I'm trying to get them out of this fight with the falksmen. They're currently targeting the cataphracts who are running away, so they're now being led out of that fight. I could potentially have escaped from that situation if I'd microed it a bit more, but they were quickly sandwiched by the cataphracts and falksmen. And if you played Attila, you know that getting cavalry out of an engagement is nigh on impossible, even with the heaviest units. So at that stage I had to just not give them any orders, otherwise they would die. One thing that's working in our favour is the fact that AI isn't using most of its units. They're just standing there doing nothing, so that is great. And on the front lines, they're somehow losing. Our trash spears are able to defeat these falksman units. I guess they really are that bad in regular melees that even some of the worst units can take them down. Seeing that, I'm now charging off my hill to send my levy spears into the enemy blob, also to chase away more skirmishing horse archers. Meanwhile, down in the cav fight, things aren't going very well. While we did take out most of the enemy cataphracts, it wasn't all of them, and we did lose all of our own cataphracts. So that's that. Now those cataphracts will come back to haunt us later, but for now we're going to set up some more fights with the enemy Falzmen, not allowing them to charge us by charging them ourselves. Although, since they were standing still, they'll now have a bit of stamina and fight a bit better. Plus, in the blob, they've got this one unit of heavy noble troops of some kind. They're basically one-handed Falzmen, who look kind of badass actually. And these guys are many leagues above our trash spears and can absolutely annihilate them. So having those guys in amongst the fight's going to make things go particularly badly, and all the units facing them are quickly routed. With our general off the field, doesn't take many losses to rout our men either, so we're in a particularly precarious situation. Here come those cataphracts back from chasing our general to wreak havoc. It looks like they were going to go after our arch unit with a rear attack, but at the last second it was a fake out, and they switched to rear attacking these spears slightly down the hill. They are quickly annihilated, freeing up some Falzmen as well to come and join the fight, which is not going very well, as you can see. Our frontline units are about to rout against the enemy's sheer numbers, and while our archers, I think we're doing pretty good damage to the enemy, raining arrows into the unarmoured Falzmen. Once our spears go, the enemy's cav can just charge forwards and put our archers into melee, and that is going to be the end of that. I did try to extract them and get them to run to the edge of the map for a withdrawal, but the enemy did not allow that. They charged in, everything routed, and the battle ends. It is a close defeat, so now we found a challenge battle that didn't go my way. I think if I'd been less aggressive and held the hill a bit more to take more advantage of the fact the AI was just glitching out and not doing anything, it would have gone a bit better. I was really too impetuous to engage in that fight. The upside is that the enemy did lose many more units than we did, and we're going to be in our own territory after the fight, so we'll replenish, and overall I think the enemy will have lost more men than we did. Their invasion is effectively halted because that army now is just crippled by all the damage we've done to it. There was a random battle back over in the east when the Bactrian noble rebels or something showed up to attack the survivors of the Bactrians that attacked us recently. No idea how these guys got here. I guess they've been pursuing the regular Bactrians across the map. So now we can participate in the battle with my nearby force. I thought, well, we might as well, but we somehow managed to lose a unit in this fight. I guess that's a good thing because we still want to lose a few units at this stage, but I was surprised we managed to lose one. And now, after that, we finally get the sort of battle I was going for this whole time. It's going to be a battle of the clones, as two Arsiukas go at it in a big siege defense. A full stack is attacking, and they've had many turns to start the siege. We've got plenty of stuff inside, but lots of horse archers and cavalry who are less useful in a siege defense, and our defenses begin damaged. On that note, I put all of my men defending the eastern wall of the city, because our eastern gate was open from the very beginning as a result of damage accrued during the siege. I thought the enemy were going to just rush around and attack that side of the city, even though they did deploy on the west side. I expected them to go around, especially because they somehow don't have any siege equipment. So I figured they'd go around and walk past my walls trying to get to our open gate and I'll just shoot at them. But no, they're going to do this the direct way. They're going to charge at our western gate and try to open it. So now I'm going to have to reposition my forces to defend the other side of the city very quickly, and the enemy are going to have a real hard time getting into the city without any siege equipment and without exploiting our already open gate.
So you finally decided to face me like a man. You think you can get away with pretending to be me?
Pretending? I am you. I came here from another world line to stop you. I know what this Armenian magic leads to.
Armenian magic?
Armenian magic?
You're the one practicing dark magic. You even admit it.
This isn't some game. You're going to kill millions with your little stunts, and Pandora isn't exactly the sort of lady you should be worshipping anyway. Trust me, I came from the world where she manifested.
And I am to believe this because?
Because if you summon Pandora before the second box has been found, she will not grant you immortality at all. Quite the opposite. Remember, she's a god of chaos. You really think you can control her after gifting her so much power?
I'm not exactly an expert on the specifics.
Well, I am, so you better listen to me. My world is history now. But if we work together, we can still save yours. We can stop the Chosen King and allow history to continue, at least until the second box is found.
What's all this about boxes anyway? You don't know about the boxes? They didn't tell you anything, kid. The boxes are the key to all of this. Stop making things up, alright? I'm not going to surrender this city to you. Fight me, you traitor!
Have it your way. I can do this on my own. By the way, kid, you deployed your men facing the wrong way.
Why are you so mean?
After a while, they did manage to open up our gate, and now a battle begins between their mounted units and ours up on the wall. This guy has found a nice safe position to fire his bow from. Yes, they've got lots of skirmishing cav who are going to try and throw javelins up at our archers. It's more effective than you think it might be actually, but still we have numbers and a superior position, so we'll just stand here, gradually cutting down all of those horse skirmishers. And now that the enemy are right in front of us, our archers are much more effective. Before, when it was just a few units attacking the gate, they weren't really doing anything and were glitching out most of the time. Here you can see the angle at which these attacks are being made from. The wall doesn't offer quite as much cover for your men as it looks like it does from above. You can still see pretty much their whole torso as they shoot out over the side. So yes, the javelins do damage, but not all that much. They've got loads of regular foot javs as well, and they're mostly focusing on shooting or throwing at my own jav standing on the gatehouse. Our unit up there is going to get pretty much taken out by this. However, at least the enemy wasted loads of ammunition, mostly throwing at the wall in the meantime. The javs apparently aren't all that deadly anyway. Some of our guys have just taken them like true men. Maybe it did have some effect on them because this unit is glitching out right now. I found that a lot of my dismounted horse archers being used for wall garrison duty were particularly ineffective. They're just not shooting at the units in front of them for whatever reason. So we can see a load of guys just hanging around. Some guys further down the wall did appear to actually be shooting. I think that might be a regular archer unit over here. So mixed results. On the other side of the wall over here, things went better. We did clear out the skirmishers in front of us, and now they're helping to rain arrows on the blob that's forming up in front of our gate. They're having no success getting through the gate, by the way. Just got a couple of units plugged in there, so the enemy are stuck there for now. On the southern wall, there was apparently some fighting going on. You can see a few of my men have died somehow on the wall, and also our troops are shooting down at something or other. Could be a case where there are guys underground. We have seen that happen before in a siege. Not really sure what's happening, but we'll just leave them to it. I'm sure they're doing something vital to the overall effort of the battle by wasting their arrows. Now the enemy trying to press through in their main blob are just getting wiped out by not only our archers but the towers directly above them shooting down at them. So many units start to rout. There are plenty of levies and things, easy units to rout off the field. And I also brought 2 units of cav around through the open gate in the east to attack the enemy's fleeing units. I've even got here some of the, can't remember their name, the heavy cav unit, the one that's not cataphracts that I've never used I think so far in the campaign, so the first appearance for the generic Armenian heavy cav unit. Our cataphracts are having great fun turning all those routs into shatters, and said heavy cav are just cleaning up enemy skirmishers, fighting with enemy skirmish cav as well to make sure we've got a nice clear run for the cataphracts to then go down the main road and hit the back of the blob inside the gatehouse. The enemy leader, the clone of Arsiuka, is in there somewhere, so some of the cataphracts we see are actually enemies in this case. But yes, now that they're being pressed against on both sides and most of their army is dead behind them, everything shatters, and that's bringing an end to the battle. I did keep going though because the mysterious cloned Arsiuka is in here somewhere in this mosh, so I thought I'd let the two sides just keep fighting to see if we can defeat the enemy commander. No real way of telling what's going on here because it's like 2 of our cataphract units versus 1 of theirs. And in the end we never saw the message, and right at the end I did also spot a few cataphracts escaping along with the routing troops, so I guess the man himself did get away. But the battle was a big victory. It went way better than expected, probably because the AI was just being terrible and didn't have any siege equipment, not giving me the interesting siege defense that I was really looking for. So yeah, we see in the results the guy is still alive, and some of his army is still alive as well. But as it happens, he just dies after the fight anyway, so that's going to be the end of that. The siege is relieved. Now there is only 1 Arsiuka. However, at the start of the next turn, you'll see among the messages we get news that he's also got wavering loyalty, so I thought maybe the words of the clone did affect our guy in some way. Thank you for watching this episode, and special thanks to all of the Officially Devon patrons. So the coffers will be running dry, and Armenia's descent into both madness and poverty will continue, plus some unexpected battles in Scotland in the next part of Wings of Eden.